Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be ANIbot taking on Deimos in a TVP. But really, what is a bot versus bot match? And yeah, I think these two should be a very good match for each other. The StarCraft 2 AI ladder is looking a little interesting at the moment with the new patch. We've got a lot of up-and-coming bots that are showing a lot of promise. The ladder's been shaken up quite a bit, and ANIbot is definitely one of those bots. Now, it's almost like Deimos is one of the kings, sitting very high up on the ladder though most of the time. So it shall be a challenge, but yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this video, make sure to go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already. Give it a lick, give it a clack, give it a slap, whatever it may be. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot games. And then of course, if you're a bot author, I implore you to send me your replays. If you happen to notice your bot has a cool game or something like that, send it my way and I'll most likely cast it, as it is appreciated. It does take the legwork out of checking the replays. I don't look at the replays to get spoilers. In fact, I avoid it, but I have sort of started taking to fast forwarding through them just like a little bit to get a bit of an idea as far as like whether a bot just has all its workers or something spin in a circle for 20 minutes. So I do that on longer replays to at least be like, okay, there's actually stuff happening. And yeah, so send me your replays and just... Alright, let's see here. As we do have a scouting probe of Deimos, runs on in and gets gunned on down by ANIbot's Marine. Deimos is now sending out an Adept. This is one of the things that Deimos really made a name for itself with when it sort of first rose to popularity, was with like the Adepts. They just kill so many bots, and they're still very effective, but a lot of the better bots do handle them fairly well these days. And we do have 2 Marines trying to handle that Adept at that natural base. The Adept got a shot off on the SCV, but now 3 Marines are trying to corner it. The Adept fires 1 shot at one of those Marines. Will just shade a little bit past this command center. No, is it going to go for another lap around? It looks like it will get on out of there. However, then another Adept shows on up, so the pressure is being applied here. 1 Adept completes the shade. The second one completes the shade. Will the SCV die before that command center completes? No, it just finishes up. So that is really good for ANIbot, as these 2 Adepts are still shading around, causing problems. They have killed 2 Marines in that SCV, so not bad. Now, if they can stay alive, that would be very important. Looks like this one is starting to just regenerate. No, it actually hasn't regenerated any shields yet. There we go. Regenerating enough shields, maybe going to make it survive another shot or 2, as ANIbot just kind of has to run around in circles trying to handle these Adepts. Looks like one of them did go down. There's now a Stalker on the front lines. Meanwhile, Deimos has been producing Phoenix behind this. One of the Phoenix lifts up a Marine. The other one shows up to help take that out. A Cyclone does pop on out for ANIbot. And now that did deal quite a bit of damage there to... Quite a bit of damage to that Phoenix. I know that someone was talking that there may be a bit of a bug in regards to those Cyclones potentially dealing more damage, because obviously there's a bug in Pro Starcraft right now in which their lock-on cooldown is less, but that Phoenix seemed like it died even quicker than it should have. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that, as these maps being updated is a work in progress. Alright, so Marines zoning that 1 Phoenix out. ANIbot has been able to keep its economy going, keep producing SCVs amidst all that early game chaos. We do actually have more Cyclones on the way, as ANIbot said it was going for Marine Cyclone Viking as its main strategy here, which could be a very good one. We're getting a turret up in that mineral line to help zone those Phoenix out. Meanwhile, Deimos is just getting up its third base. We do have an Immortal out for Deimos, a Stalker, and a couple of Stalkers crossing the map. So good economies for both these bots just 5 minutes into the game. Notably, Deimos does have that third, but then ANIbot builds one in its main, so it will be able to float that on over. These Cyclones are locking on, and yeah, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe they're not dealing double damage. You know what? We can actually just... We're going to slow the game down for a second and count the shots. So that fires one shot and another one. And okay, I believe those are actually dealing extra damage, because what? Cyclone lock-on locks the Cyclone's weapon on, increasing the range. It's just extra range. It's supposed to be the base damage. And that is definitely more than 18 damage. So, okay, that one was 20. So maybe I am crazy. Okay, yeah, just 20 damage. Anyway, I'm sure some people who have a better eye for that kind of thing will be able to figure that out instead of me. It could have, of course, been 2 Cyclone lock-ons or something like that. But ANIbot does defend against that. And, yeah, I hope you guys don't mind when I sort of investigate things on the fly. I know people were talking about it in the Discord, which you guys should join, by the way. The SC2AI.net Discord is very handy for all things bots. And yeah, let's see. Deimos going to be taking a 4th base. Lots of Stalkers out for Deimos. It doesn't have Blink yet, nor a Twilight Council. Getting out Blink will be very useful when it comes to dealing with those Cyclones. The one Phoenix is still flying around. ANIbot has got its Marines out on the map in order to secure this location so that Command Center will be able to float on over there. Now, Deimos is moving out, looking to get a little bit aggressive here. It is only 6 Stalkers pushing out against 6 Cyclones, which, depending on the micro, is probably not going to be pretty good for those Stalkers. Cyclones do get a lock-on, as they do pick off 2 of the Stalkers, and yeah, it's just like, Cyclones don't scale, like, in maxed-out armies as well, but in smaller numbers, they do quite terrific. So, those Stalkers do get deleted. And then we do have Deimos building some more units here. There is a 4th command center on the way for ANIbot, so that's good to see. Getting Magfield Accelerator out. And then we do have High-Sec Auto tracking on the way as well. Vikings being produced. It was Cyclone Viking Marine as the composition for ANIbot. That's one of the very fun things about ANIbot, is how it's... just how many strategies it has. As there are some bots that just play one strategy, but the more advanced ones do generally have more strategies. Now, Deimos is getting up a lot of robo production here, going up to 4 robos already, getting Blink on the way. Blink will be very helpful when it comes to dealing with these Cyclones, being able to break that lock-on. I know if I'm playing Protoss on the ladder and Terran says, okay, I'm gonna mech and play with Cyclones, I go, okay, I'm gonna get Blink and build a bunch of Tempest. And usually it goes pretty well. As, yeah, I'm not sure that, I'm not sure if mech is actually as good as people say presently. I haven't had a chance to watch as many pro games as I used to, as I spend most of my Starcraft time casting bot games. Which, I will admit, it doesn't help with, like, your pro scene knowledge. I mean, it keeps StarCraft on the mind, definitely, but they are basically 2 different things, 2 different competitions. Now, Deimos is just building up its army, producing 4 Immortals at a time. That is going to be a lot of damage output from those. Now, I mean, Cyclones, they still are pretty well-rounded units. The Vikings will be interesting if there's nothing for them to kill. I do wonder if they'll land. I'm also curious if we'll get the Servos upgrade so they can actually land quicker. I believe if you are playing a Viking composition, that's quite important to have, as every second matters when it's that high Viking versus mechanical damage per second. Deimos is looking to move out to get a bit aggressive here. Blink is moments away. Same with +1 attack, so this could be a bit of a nice timing. We've got Liberators on the way for ANIbot. ANIbot's got a 5th base getting established. Deimos is on 4. So this fight could definitely be very important as the blue Protoss is moving on in. Blink forward into some of those Cyclones. The Stalkers on the front have a very rough time. Marines are buffering for those Cyclones as they get lock-ons. Stalkers blinking aggressively is very interesting. Instead of breaking the lock-on by just retreating, they were trying to blink on the Cyclones, which is definitely one way to deal with those Cyclones. However, ANIbot is doing a good job pulling them back. At the same time, Deimos is just pulling back those units. So we're sort of seeing just lock on, pull back as that rinses and repeats a little bit. Now the Cyclone numbers really have been thinned out here as Stalkers are blinking away. There's also a scan as many observers of Deimos may go down, and the blue Protoss does get routed. Attacking into that position was a little bit bold. There's a few Stalkers at the third base causing some problems. We've got a lot more Immortals on the way as well for that Protoss bot, so it's going to get up a new army. However, that was a lot of losses from Deimos, so it's going to need to trade a little bit more effectively. And as the armies scale, that may very well may be the case, but one of the appeals of a bot author when it comes to using a unit like a Cyclone is a unit with massive micro potential. It's usually the players who can't make full use out of it rather than the unit not doing what they need, because Cyclones are a unit that you can micro constantly. We do have ANIbot moving out with just a handful of units as Deimos pulls away. And then, yeah, we do have this Liberator shooting, Cyclones shooting away as Deimos is pushing forward. Its army is definitely more grouped up than that of ANIbot. ANIbot lands its Vikings, though, and landed Vikings are phenomenal versus Protoss units. They actually have a ridiculously high damage, so ANIbot's composition is doing quite well, and Deimos almost seems to be playing in with it. This is why, if you're going up against mech as a Protoss player, it's generally a good idea to add in some, say, Zealots just to buffer, unless your opponent has like a ton of Hellbats or Widow Mines or something. As right now we're seeing just the Cyclone Liberator programming of ANIbot is pretty darn good. Just having the Cyclones fight under the Liberators, really punishing Deimos. Now, we have had a transition from the Protoss bot, pardon me for missing that, and now we've got, I mean, I talked about it at the start of the video, those oh-so-important Tempest, which are a perfect answer to a lot of mech compositions, and they really do prevent the sort of abuse of the mech units, as the Tempest can just pick them off from afar and pick the engagements, that kind of thing. Now, a Cyclone does get a lock-on on a Tempest. Tempest aren't great versus Cyclones unless they're microed correctly, so it might be better if Deimos builds up a few more of those before taking another fight. However, it has just produced the one, weirdly enough. That's how I kind of missed it. Now the Protoss is still rolling upgrades, producing 7 probes at a time, trying to defend at this, oh, what is this? A 7th base location. Both of these bots are on 7 bases, I believe. The only base that hasn't been taken on this map is that single gold base. So we'll see which one of these two competitors is able to take that. So far, the trades of ANIbot are still pretty spectacular. 21,000 resources lost compared to 12,000. As we see, just, Cyclones can be very punishing for bots for the way that a lot of these bots play. These bot games are always all about constant engagements, just poking and prodding, and just fighting with every single unit all the time, basically. And that is something Cyclones benefit from very greatly, as they're not great in those big, like, 200 maxed out fights, but they are very good when it comes to constantly trading. All these landed Vikings are trying to bolster the line here for ANIbot, as they are doing what they can against these mech units. However, with +2 attack done, Deimos is really starting to put out some damage, so the trades are actually turning around to quite a spectacular degree. The micro is good from Deimos. The blink is good. There is Liberators, which are helping out. No advanced ballistics on them. ANIbot's production is all of a sudden just really taken off here, with Vikings being produced 7 Cyclones at a time. It may actually need more production here. This is one of the things that ANIbot notably does. Well, it's programmed in a noticeable way in that it, I believe we even saw it, making more tech buildings. ANIbot's production is not dynamic. It is all hard-coded, I believe. So that kind of means that, like, once it doesn't build more production when it's floating money, which when it does go up to 7 bases, it may actually do. So ANIbot is being a little bit limited, suffering from success in this game. Deimos is now producing a whopping 5 immortals. It's going to be interesting to see how this game progresses as the upgrades continue to roll on both sides. So far, ANIbot is still trading much more efficiently than Deimos. There's another Tempest out. However, we saw how quickly the Cyclones killed that first one, and this one will die just as quick. Tempest are armored units. That Cyclone Magfield Accelerator upgrade makes them do very well, and ANIbot is just using these so correctly as Stalkers try and handle this. And that's the thing with Protoss, you need to build up into a big army to handle Cyclones. You cannot be doing constant trades like a lot of these bots do, as Deimos is now being bullied seemingly all the way home. The Immortals pack an absolute punch when it comes to hitting these Cyclones, but I mean, the Cyclones are putting just as much damage down back at them. Now, Deimos hasn't taken too much damage yet to its economy. However, we do take a look. This 5th base, it's being attacked by Cyclones. Mining is being interrupted, and probes are starting to die. 5 immortals are being produced. There is 2 Tempest out. I do hope we see more. Vikings, though, or ANIbot are programming. They're trying to avoid the Stalker while trying to get to the Tempest. It is very cool programming. Army supply-wise, Deimos, though, has just been fighting from such a deficit throughout this game. Cyclones got a lock-on onto the Tempest, and they're just moving forward to keep that lock-on engaged. We're now getting Thors added in for ANIbot, which are probably the worst possible unit it could make against a Protoss bot that's just churning out a ridiculous amount of immortals. So those Thors may not do too well for themselves. Vikings do dispatch that final Tempest. And yeah, Deimos is kind of crumbling under the might of ANIbot's just mass Cyclones. I mean, I think ANIbot can probably make whatever it wants at this point, as Deimos just wasn't quite able to stabilize. It engaged in those constant trades, and Cyclones do that incredibly well. And I do want to say now, I am going to rewind a little bit and try and dig into the Cyclone damage a little bit more. I don't think it looks like they're dealing extra damage. Someone said so in the Discord, I think. I do believe there is a bug on the lockdown cooldown, which I think is supposed to be 10 seconds presently, but it's actually 4 or something like that. So that means that they can basically just lock on right after they kill something, which definitely does make them more stronger. But if their actual shots are dealing extra damage, I'm not too sure about that. I don't believe that's the case. I want to say that that's the thing. Starcraft 2 has had its units tweaked so many times. It does become harder to track. We don't really get the nice balance posts like we did in the past from Blizzard, because, well, Blizzard sucks. They're a terrible company that made some good games in the past, which fortunately has given us a very good botting scene. But I don't have a lot of love left for them. As for example, the patches and stuff are handled so horribly, unfortunately. I don't like to be negative in my videos anyway. Not that I have a lot of negative stuff to say about in StarCraft videos anyway. So yeah, well done to ANIbot, able to bring down the mighty Deimos in just a solid game. The composition was really strong. We saw confidence rating 95% at the start of this game. I almost didn't want to believe it, because I'm like, ANIbot has like 5% confidence in a lot of its games. So this style with 95% is crazy. But it does seem to do very well. I do have my doubts, because like whether it would win every single game, because like there was a lot of skirmishing and a lot of room for sort of change with that early game harassment, that kind of thing. But ANIbot does take it in the end, and yeah, that is going to be that. I don't think the Cyclones are dealing extra damage, so I'm not sure we need to double check that or anything. That Immortal probably just ate 2 shots from what I was looking at. And, yeah. Thor's helping clean everything out. Deimos still trying to build more probes. But a very lethal composition from ANIbot. I look forward to seeing all these bots play in the ProBots tournament that's going on presently. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and check out ProBots. I've already cast one of the days, and I'll be casting more of them as well in the future here. So yeah, thanks for watching. I guess I will rewind a little bit. Just I promise if I'm rewinding, you guys better be liking and subscribing. That's all I can say. So let's see, where's the first engagement? First engagement's probably the easiest one, as well, the less there is going on. So let's see, each cyclone is locked onto a different unit. Mortal's got its hardened shield up, so that's not the best one. Stalker at 40 HP, then 20. So I'm not sure if that is extra damage, because like the cyclones don't have... They're only supposed to deal... I wonder. These cyclones... Like, maybe I'm totally wrong here. The cyclones seem to be doing 20 damage a shot, but let's see, one more shot. Yeah, that was 20 damage. But from what I can see, it's supposed to be... The cyclones are supposed to get an extra +2 range with the lock-on. I wonder if they're getting +2 damage with the lock-on. Because that would explain it, because then it would be 18 + 2. Okay, if we really want to dig into this, we can test our theory and see if the damage is 21 next time. So it might not be like double damage, it might just be slightly more damage than they're supposed to do. Let's see here. One Stalker, 60 HP. Still no attack upgrades, so we need to go further. And then I'll pull up the wikis just after this to have a read and see what the damage is actually supposed to be. Any upgrades going? Armor first, of course. ANIbot got armor first, then ship weapons. Come on, where's the ground weapons? I apologize if my PC is melting on this one. Come on, plus one ground attack. Let's see it. Did ANIbot even get that this game? No, it gets armor again. ANIbot playing a very bizarre mech style. I really hope it doesn't get +3 armor. Otherwise, we won't get to see, potentially, but that is something we can look more into. Do we get armor after this? It is ship weapons. Okay, I don't think ANIbot actually got ground attack. I'll pull up the wiki while this is going through. Cyclone SC2 wiki. Okay, this changelog may as well be a million miles. So it says Typhoon Missile Pod. On the wiki it says 18 + 1. Which... Why? Attack 1, Typhoon Missile Pod. 18 + 1. Yeah, it's not a... info is a bit tough to read here on the wiki. Range 7, 15 with the lock-on. Let's see, damage. Hope you guys don't mind me rambling like a crazy person. Okay, yeah, so the wiki just says 18 + 1, which is not the case for this, so we'll see. I don't believe ANIbot ended up getting the +1 attack. Not that that would give us like a definitive answer, but I'll definitely bring this discussion back up in the Discord. So yeah, thanks so much everyone for tuning on in, and I'll see you guys next time.